Here's a really out there example of the political indoctrination of our children in schools now and universities, which is really off the charts. This example, a state school in Victoria, Cheltenham Secondary College, of course of Victoria, do I need to tell you? Cheltenham Secondary College is now offering students a new jacket, a uniform jacket, but it comes with two flags, a gay pride flag on one sleeve and an Aboriginal flag on the other. Now, of course, wearing the jacket is not compulsory, we're told, but it is the only jacket design that students can get. You do that or you, freeze. Now, the school defends this new design, saying, well, it was the idea of some students, the education department is fine with it, and the LGBTIQ plus organisation, Equality Australia, says, well, look, more schools should actually consider similar jackets to encourage inclusion. I wonder, inclusion? How about including students who do not want to be walking billboards for this new identity politics? Right? Joining me is Clare Rowe. She's a leading psychologist who specialises in children and families. Clare Rowe, great to see you again. Now, these jackets, are they a great idea for promoting inclusion at school? Or is it the kind of preachy politics that takes away from children their right to decide things for themselves?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Like you've alluded to, I think this is a silly idea, to put it bluntly. And I understand the school has said, look, students have come up with this and it's all about inclusion. There are other ways to show inclusion by your actions. You don't need to emblazon it as a symbol on you, okay? I think a couple of things when I saw this. I think, first of all, it's important to note that this is a government school. And I think that's important. I think if this was a private school, to a degree, they run as private businesses. If you're not happy, pull your kids out. But as a local government school, a parent who's sending their child to the local catchment school may not have that option. That may be the only school available. And the other thing I thought of when I saw this is, coming back to what the point also of school uniforms are, it's to hold up this quite noble idea of creating, kids with this homogenous look so that they're actually not emblazoned by logos, symbols, messages, and they're not divided by race, culture, religion. And when they step inside a government school, they are all completely equal and entitled to the same education. And so it's confronting that this, I feel, is not doing that and going against that. And as a lot of parents who are very unhappy in this school said, well, my child is now a walking billboard for a political agenda. And I think that's what it comes down to, Andrew, is that these flags in themselves are not bad. But the pride flag, as you can argue the Indigenous flag, has become weaponised by politics to the point where a lot of gay and males and females I know are backing away from identifying with the pride flag. It no longer represents just free love. It has been weaponised, as you said, by identity politics, race politics, and it has a political agenda. And so as a child psychologist, I would argue, can we please have a protected space, 9 to 3, where, the sanctity of childhood is revered, and we can just have this space where our children don't have to have that in their face all day.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because they say, it's about promoting inclusion, and I can understand you might want, to make gay and Aboriginal students feel welcome at your school, although I really think it's more like advertising yourself, not doing anything for anyone else. But the point is there are other children that didn't want to do that for one reason or other. I don't think they're necessarily homophobic or anything like that. Maybe they just don't like identity politics or being taken for granted like this. But the point is the parents of those students, these kids are refusing to wear them. The parents are refusing to identify give their name to the reporter or have it published because they're scared of the repercussions on their children. So how's that inclusive?
Well, that's exactly right. And it comes down to many of the issues of today, which is the majority of people don't want this. The majority of people don't have this opinion that the small minority have as the loudest group. And yet we don't hear from them because they want to go about their lives, Andrew. They want to go about their lives. They want to send their kids to school. They don't want to have to front up to reporters. And I know in this particular school, apparently, kids have been pulled up because they've unstitched the flags from their jackets or they've scribbled over them with black texter, and of course they've defaced the uniform. So now they've got disciplinary action against those kids. But, if we want to get inclusive,
No.
where are the flags for, I stand with other groups on the jackets? What if a kid said, well, I'd like to wear a flag for Ukraine on my jacket, or I'd like to wear a flag for, Jewish acceptance on my jacket? Is that going to be allowed? Can we do that? I mean, so where do you draw the line? So again, just coming back to the whole point of uniforms, it comes back to it's easier just to have it, without any messaging. And the school, you hit the nail on the head. I think it's far more about the school showing about what they are. I mean, like most good cultures, religions, whatever you want to go to, it's based on action, isn't it? Inclusiveness is based on how you operate as a school and your policies and how you treat people. It comes down to how you actually speak to each other and treat people, and you will show your inclusiveness through that.
Well, if anyone's being mean to gay or Aboriginal children, crack down on that and crack down hard. Yep. But this kind of flag waving, literal flag waving, is just, to me, nuts. But last question, does this kind of indoctrination of children actually work? Or does it breed a kind of resentment? Because I noticed, for example, a lot of younger, I'm talking a couple of years now ago when my kids were at school, a lot of kids were telling me they don't like the preachy politics from certain teachers, but they had learned something that I think is really unfortunate, how to answer questions in a way that pleases the teacher rather than answer it in a way that, this is what I think. It is like, let me tell you what you think, teacher, because otherwise you might go nuts. And I think that breeds a real cynicism. So does this kind of indoctrination actually work?
Well, no, it doesn't work. And I've argued that it hasn't worked in terms of heavily religious schools either. When you shove something down a kid's throat, it's generally not going to work. And I think, beyond cynicism, I think it goes far further than that. It's dangerous. We've been saying this on multiple topics, that we're not teaching kids how to think. We're teaching them what to think. And of course, for the majority of kids, they're going to, like you said, fall in line and say what the teacher said, particularly if they're marking their schoolwork for them. They'll write what needs to be written. And look, I think at worst, kids will come out very confused and muddled and not have a clear idea themselves of what they do believe or do think. And far further down the line, they'll just, as you said, perhaps some will become indoctrinated to the point where they don't question, accept it, write what needs to be written and move on. And how sad is that for
Yeah, I think you're right. Clare Rowe, thank you so much indeed for your time.